a service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC Worldwide and Jib Jab Greetings. I'm Bud Lowell. Your full AccuWeather forecast is right up on top of your CNC local news page. New York State's highest court will not entertain a challenge to the Marriage Equality Act, which legalized same-sex marriage in New York last year. The New York Court of Appeals issued a series of decisions in Albany on Tuesday, among them a brief notice denying a request from New Yorkers for Constitutional Freedoms to appeal a lower court ruling upholding the law. New Yorkers for Constitutional Freedoms is based in Spencerport. The group believes the state Senate violated New York's open meetings law in the way it passed the measure. It said the legislative body suspended its normal voting procedures and failed to provide a 3-day review period before passing the bill. Therefore, it should be invalidated. The Reverend Jason McGuire is the group's executive director. He said on the group's webpage he's disappointed but not surprised by the Court of Appeals ruling. McGuire said every time the people of a state have had the opportunity to vote on this issue, they have rejected same-sex marriage. But when rogue legislators and activist courts get involved, they reject the will of the people. Governor Andrew Cuomo issued a statement saying same-sex couples no longer have to worry that their right to marry could be legally challenged in this state. The freedom to marry in this state is secure for generations to come. New Yorkers for Constitutional Freedoms filed suit against the state Senate 1 month after the same-sex marriage law was passed. A state Supreme Court justice in Livingston County ruled that the case should be heard. The New York Attorney General's office then appealed. The appellate division threw the case out after a hearing in Rochester. The Court of Appeals' refusal to take up the case now means the Marriage Equality Act stays in place. According to the online service cityrating.com, Rochester's violent crime statistics report an overall downward trend over the last 12 years. Violent crime increasing, but property crime decreasing. Based on those trends, the company predicted a lower overall crime rate in Rochester for 2012 than the year before. The latest numbers released by the Rochester Police Department didn't follow that prediction. If you compare this year's total number of violent and property crimes so far with the average of the past 5 years, okay, the overall number of crimes went down by nearly 2%. But if you draw your comparison with last year, you'll find a slight increase in all crimes and a big increase in homicides and other crimes of violence. Chief James Shepard said violent crime of all types went up by 5.7% year-to-date over last year. At the same time, he does point out last year's violent crime numbers were the lowest in 25 years. And there has been a spike of shootings of all kinds in 2012, up by 79% from last year to date. Rochester police say that's mostly because groups of young men are feuding with guns in city neighborhoods. They don't use the word gangs. Police say they're working with federal, state, and other local law enforcement agencies every way they can think of to clamp down on these gun-toting young men. A Greece police officer accused of unlawfully dealing with a minor pleaded not guilty Tuesday in Irondequoit Town Court. Officer Sam Ross of the Greece Police K-9 Unit is accused of providing alcohol to an 18-year-old on 3 different occasions. He turned himself into the Monroe County Sheriff's Department earlier this month and is suspended with pay. Greece Police Chief Todd Baxter said at the time Ross was first charged that he received a tip Ross was providing alcohol to a teenager he met online. The incidents happened in Irondequoit. The Monroe County Grand Jury has indicted an Irondequoit woman and her boyfriend on charges of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide following the death of a toddler nearly 2 years ago. Stephanie DeSalvo and William Bradley are charged in connection with the death of DeSalvo's 2.5-year-old daughter, Bailey Ann DeSalvo Velasquez. She died November 22, 2010 at the couple's home on Spencer Road. According to the indictment, Bradley gave the girl some children's Tylenol because she had a cold. Then he fell asleep watching TV. He told Irondequoit police he woke up and found the child face down and non-responsive, so he called 911. The indictment doesn't say anything about what caused the child's death. Here's another sign of fall. The Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge opens to roadway traffic next week, November 1st. The bridge swings out of the way from April 1st through October 31st to allow boat traffic in and out through Irondequoit Bay during the season. Once the boating season's over, Monroe County highway crews swing the bridge back in place closing the outlet for boaters and reconnecting Lake Road in Webster to Culver Road in Irondequoit for the winter, November 1st through March 31st. It takes about 2 hours of prep work followed by a half hour of actually moving the swing bridge before it can reopen, and this shows the bridge in the closed to vehicles open for boaters position. And another transportation note, CSX freight trains are a pretty common sight passing through East Rochester. Here's an iPhone view of a fast intermodal train. But Tuesday afternoon, a westbound had to stop on the main line in the village when it came through with a fire in one of the locomotives. East Rochester's fire chief says there was an engine compartment fire in one of the big diesels, but nobody was hurt. To the left of this window are links to these and other stories. At the bottom of the page, links for you to use. This is a social news media site, so post us your stories, story ideas, commentaries, shout-outs to people you think deserve some recognition. And because we are a local news resource, we want to know about your birth announcements, wedding announcements, business openings, what's going on in your neighborhood. Post it to us through those links, and we'll put it up here on your CNC news pages. Next news is as it happens, updates when necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.